They sold her for
I was wondering when you'd
$50,000.
show up.
We need to talk.
$50,000.
It's
The
urgent.
price of a
I know,
used
sit
luxury
down.
car. A semester at a decent college. A year's salary for someone who actually mattered. That's what Lyra Blackwood was worth to the woman who raised her. Not raised, tolerated. There's a difference, but here's what they didn't know. What nobody knew. Not the lawyers with their cold contracts. Not the stepmother with her colder heart. Not even the buyer himself when he first laid eyes on her in that penthouse 30 stories above Manhattan.
I am here,
Lyra Blackwood carried something in her blood that hadn't existed in 347 years. The only bloodline that could give the Vampire King an heir. In 7 nights, she would go from invisible to immortal, from nothing to queen, from a woman they called Baron to the mother of the most powerful dynasty the supernatural world had ever seen. But first, she had to survive. This is that story, every word of it true, every moment of it earned. This is how Lyra Blackwood made them all kneel. The clock on the wall of the Crimson Abyss read 2:43 in the morning. Lyra's feet were screaming. Not metaphorically, literally screaming, if feet could make sound. The cheap canvas sneakers she'd bought at a discount store 3 months ago had worn through at the heels. Every step sent a spike of pain up her calves. She didn't stop moving. Table 7 needed water. Table 12 wanted another round of drinks they probably shouldn't have. The VIP section upstairs was buzzing with some kind of private event. Bottles of champagne that cost more than her monthly rent were flowing like water. Lyra grabbed the water pitcher. Her hands were shaking. She was 26 years old. She had a degree from a decent state university paid for by scholarships and 3 part-time jobs and sheer force of will. She spoke 2 languages. She could calculate tips in her head faster than the computer. None of it mattered because 6 months ago a doctor had told Isolde Thornfield something that changed everything. The doctor says you're damaged, darling. Lyra remembered the word, damaged, not sick, not unfortunate, damaged. Uterine scarring, quite severe. You won't be able to have children. I'm sorry. Isolde hadn't sounded sorry. She'd been smiling because this gave her power. The kind of power that came from pointing at someone and saying defective, broken, worthless. 2:47 a.m. Her shift ended at 3. Then the subway to the hospital where Marlena Blackwood was staying. 62 years old, sick with something the doctors called aggressive and unusual. Marlena needed experimental treatments, the kind that insurance didn't cover and cost more money than Lyra had ever seen. Isolde had made it very clear that Lyra was on her own. Lyra worked 3 jobs: waitress, weekend barista, freelance transcription at night. The money disappeared as fast as she earned it. Rent, food, hospital bills, student loan interest. She was drowning. Her phone buzzed. A text from a number she didn't recognize. Come to the penthouse tomorrow at 8 p.m. Dress below. This concerns your situation. ITIT Isolde Thornfield. Lyra's blood went cold. The building was glass and steel. 30 stories of wealth rising into the Manhattan sky. The doorman looked at her like he was considering calling security. She was wearing her best outfit, a thrift store dress and shoes that almost matched. I'm here to see Isolde Thornfield. The doorman checked his tablet, nodded. 30th floor. The elevator was made of mirrors. Lyra watched herself rise. 26 years old, circles under her eyes, skin too pale, hands that shook. She looked desperate. The elevator opened directly into a penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows, museum furniture, art worth more than Lyra would earn in her lifetime. Everything white and chrome and cold. Isolde was waiting with 2 men, one elderly in an expensive suit, one younger with a briefcase. Lyra, how punctual, come in. The elevator doors closed, a trap snapping shut. This is Mr. Winters. They represent Ashford Corporation. Mr. Winters opened his briefcase, pulled out papers. Miss Blackwood, we are here to present you with a business proposition. Business proposition. Never good words. Mrs. Thornfield has informed us of your financial difficulties, your mother's medical situation, your debts. Lyra's face burned. Every humiliating detail laid out for strangers. Ashford Corporation is prepared to offer you $50,000. The number hung in the air. Heavy. Impossible. 6 months of Marlena's treatments. In exchange, you will enter into a 7-day contract with our client. At the end of those 7 days, if you successfully complete the terms, you will receive an additional $100,000, and your mother's medical expenses will be covered in full for 2 years. $100,000. What are the terms? Mr. Winters slid the contract across. You will live in a private residence for 7 days. You will be provided with everything you require. At the end of 7 days, you will undergo a medical examination. If you pass, the money is yours. Too easy. Nothing was ever that easy. What's the examination? That will be explained by our client. Who is your client? Mr. Dominic Ashford. He prefers to introduce himself personally. Lyra looked at Isolde. Her stepmother was smiling. That smile. What aren't you telling me? Everything relevant is in the contract. Certain phrases jumped out. Exclusive residence for 7 days. No contact with outside parties. Physical examination to determine suitability. Suitability for what? I need time to think. Unfortunately, the offer expires tonight. Mr. Ashford has other candidates. Other candidates, like a job interview. Lyra thought about Marlena in that hospital bed. Pale, thin, smiling anyway. She thought about the bills, the doctors using the word palliative. She thought about what $50,000 could buy. Time. Just a little more time. Where do I sign? The car that picked her up was a Maybach. Black. Windows like oil. Lyra had packed one bag, 1 week's worth of clothes. No phone, no laptop, no contact with the outside world. She'd gone to the hospital. Marlena had been sleeping. Lyra had held her mother's hand. I'm going to fix this, I promise. Now she sat in the Maybach and watched Manhattan slide past. They stopped at a building that made the previous one look modest. The lobby was marble. The elevator was gold. They went up, up, up. The doors opened into a space that looked like a palace. Vaulted ceilings, crystal chandeliers, Monet, Degas, originals. And standing in the center, backlit by windows framing the skyline, was a man. Not a man, something else. 6'3", built like marble sculpture. Dark hair falling past his collar. The kind of beauty that came from something older than Jim's. But his eyes, silver, not gray, not blue. Silver, like metal. Like something that shouldn't exist in a human face. He looked at her, the weight of that gaze pressed against her chest. Miss Blackwood. His voice was cold, smooth, the kind that could order executions politely. Welcome, I am Dominic Ashford. Lyra tried to speak, couldn't, tried again. Mr. Ashford, oh son, please, come in. I imagine you have questions. He moved aside. Lyra walked into what would be her prison for 7 days. The door closed. She didn't hear it lock. But she knew it had. Dominic watched her with those silver eyes, studying her like a painting. You were told about the trial. Not a question, a statement. I was told there would be an examination. I wasn't told what kind. I appreciate honesty. Let me return the favor. He crossed the room, moved like water, effortless, complete control. I am 347 years old. Lyra laughed. Hysteria, fear. I'm sorry, I am 347 years old. I was born in 1677. I was turned into a vampire in 1701 against my will by a creature who wanted a soldier for a war that no longer matters. He stopped in front of her, close enough that she could smell him. Sandalwood, something darker. And in all that time, I have never met a human woman who could give me what I need. Her brain screamed, run. Her legs wouldn't move. What do you need? An heir. The word hung between them. I don't understand. Yes, you do. You're frightened. But you're not stupid. You understand exactly what I'm saying. I can't have children. The doctor said. The doctor lied. Lyra's world tilted. What? The doctor was encouraged to lie by Mrs. Thornfield, who wanted you to believe you were damaged. No, that wasn't possible. I've seen your real medical records. You are not infertile, Miss Blackwood. You are extraordinarily fertile, particularly for someone of your bloodline. My bloodline, Dominic smiled. Not kind. We'll get to that. First, the trial. You will spend 7 days here, with me. At the end, you will undergo the trial of blood. You will sit in a room with fresh human blood for 10 minutes. You will not drink it. If you resist, you will have proven yourself capable of being my mate. Mate, not wife. Mate, like animals. And if I can't, then you take your $50,000 and go home. I find someone else. And your mother dies within 6 months because that experimental treatment, it's not working. Not with human medicine, but I can make it work if you pass the trial. Tears burned behind Lyra's eyes. She refused to let them fall. You're a monster. Yes, no hesitation. I am. I've killed more people than you can count. I am a monster, but I'm also your only hope. He leaned closer, silver eyes filling her vision. 7 days, Miss Blackwood. 7 days to save your mother's life. All you have to do is survive. The first night Lyra didn't sleep. Dominic had shown her to a bedroom, larger than her entire apartment. Four-poster bed, silk sheets, marble bathroom, gold fixtures. She sat on the bed and tried to process. Vampire. 347 years old. Heir. She'd been sold to a vampire. The door opened. A man entered. Not Dominic. Shorter. Brown eyes. Easy. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm Kieran. Kieran Voss. I work for Dominic. Work for him? I'm his second, his right hand, his best friend when he's not being insufferable. Kieran smiled. Warmer than Dominic. Still didn't feel safe. What do you want? To check on you, answer questions. Are you a vampire too? Guilty. How old? 203, give or take. 200 years. Look 35. Why me? Kieran's expression softened. Honestly, we don't know yet. 200 women have tried the trial of blood. All failed, most within the first minute. Your blood work suggests you might be different. What happens if I fail? You go home, alive, with the money. Dominic doesn't kill for sport. Just for necessity. Just for necessity. Kieran walked to the window. He's been alone for a long time. He had a wife once, a daughter. They died centuries ago. The Vampire Council is forcing his hand. Find a mate, produce an heir, or step down. And he can't step down. No, because the person who would take his place would turn this city into a feeding ground. Dominic may be cold, but he's fair. He protects humans, keeps the peace. A monster who protected people, the lesser evil. What's the trial really testing? Control. Vampires are driven by blood, physical need. If you can sit in front of fresh blood and not drink, you have the strength to exist in our world without being consumed. It means turning, you wouldn't create a monster. Turned into a vampire. If you pass, if you choose that, if, small word, massive decision. Get some sleep. Tomorrow Dominic will want to spend time with you. See if you can tolerate his company. Kieran left. Lyra lay back and stared at the ceiling. She woke to sunlight. Morning, day 2. The kitchen was enormous. Chrome and marble. Dominic was pouring coffee from a French press. Black shirt, black pants, no shoes, hair pulled back. He looked up. Coffee, please. He poured. Slid a mug across. Their fingers didn't touch. Cream sugar. Black is fine. The coffee was perfect. Rich. Probably cost more per pound than Lyra made in a week. Silence. Drinking. The city below, like a kingdom. I owe you an explanation, Dominic said. You gave me one last night. Information, not an explanation. There's a difference. He set down his mug. I don't enjoy this. The transaction, the contract, treating you like a commodity. But the council has given me no choice. Find a mate by year's end or step down. I have tried for 3 years. Every woman has failed. Maybe you're the problem. The words escaped before she could stop them. Dominic's eyebrows rose. Then he smiled, small, almost human. Perhaps I am. He leaned against the counter, arms crossed. Tell me about yourself. Real things. What was the point of silence? I graduated with a degree in English literature. Wanted to be a teacher. Couldn't afford graduate school. I worked 3 jobs. I like reading, old books with broken spines and margin notes. I have a cat named Shadow. He's with my roommates. I miss him. What's your favorite book? Jane Eyre. Ah, the governess who falls in love with her employer. I'm not falling in love with you. I wouldn't expect you to, but something in his voice sounded like disappointment. What about you, 347 years? What do you like? Music, real music. String quartets, opera. Art that takes a lifetime to master. The ocean, though, I can only see it at night. Cities, the way they change. I've watched Manhattan build itself a dozen times. Do you miss the sun? The question came out soft, genuine. Dominic's expression shuddered. Every day. Different silence, less hostile, more human. There's something else, Dominic said, about what happens if you pass. I'm listening. If you pass, you'll have a choice. Take the money and go. Or stay. Become my mate. Be turned. Live in this world. Why would I choose that? Because your mother will live, not just survive. Live. Vampire blood can cure her completely. Decades left, but only if you stay. Of course, the catch. That's not a choice, that's extortion. Yes, it is. I won't apologize. I need an heir. You need your mother alive. We can give each other what we need, or walk away with nothing. Anger burned in Lyra's chest. You really are a monster. I've never claimed otherwise. She wanted to throw the coffee, to scream. Instead, breath, hold, release. When is the trial? At night 6. You have 5 more days. 5 days to decide if she'd give up her humanity for her mother's life. It wasn't really a decision at all. Night 2, Dominic had given her space. Kieran showed her around. Library, gym, rooftop garden with night blooming flowers. Dinner was quiet. Dominic didn't eat, just watched. There's someone I'd like you to meet, he said. Who? My daughter. Lyra's stomach dropped. I thought, my first daughter died centuries ago. This is Serafina, my second. She's 8, half vampire. Half. Her mother was human, died 50 years ago, childbirth complications. Serafina survived, but she's been difficult since. The way he said difficult made Lyra ache. Difficult how she won't eat, won't speak, terrified of everything. Doctors, therapists, nothing works. You want me to meet her because you're the first human she'll have seen in years. I want to know if she reacts. They walked to a pink door, the only color in the penthouse. Dominic knocked. Serafina, I have someone here. No answer. He opened slowly. Child's room, toys, books, canopy bed, but museum feeling. Nothing touched. In the corner curled up was a little girl, dark hair, silver eyes, white nightgown, arms around her knees. She looked at Lyra, pure fear. Dominic started to speak. Lyra held up a hand. Stop. She understood. Dominic was too much, too powerful. This child was drowning in his presence. Lyra sat on the floor. Not close, just there. Hi, my name is Lyra. I'm staying here for a few days. I thought I'd say hello. Serafina didn't move. You have a nice room. I like the books. Do you like books? Nothing? I have a cat named Shadow. He's gray, very fluffy, very judgmental. He sits on my books when I'm trying to read. A flicker in Serafina's eyes. Do you like cats? Tiny nod. Me too. Shadow would argue he's not a cat. He's a tiny emperor who lets me live in his kingdom. The smallest sound, almost a laugh. Lyra didn't push, just sat, existing, not demanding. After a long moment, Serafina spoke. Whisper. What does he eat? Shadow expensive cat food, but he also steals my sandwiches. Does he sleep with you? Every night, on my head usually. That was a lie, but it made Serafina smile. Real smile. Can I tell you a secret? Serafina whispered. Of course. I'm scared all the time. Of what? Everything. The dark, the light, the blood, the hunger. I don't want to hurt anyone. Lyra's heart broke. 8 years old, half vampire, terrified of her own nature. Can I tell you a secret too? Serafina nodded. I'm scared too. Right now, I don't know what'll happen. I don't know if I'll pass the trial, if I'm strong enough. But you're still here. I'm still here. Why, Mom? Because someone I love needs me to be brave. So I am, even when I'm terrified. Serafina uncurled, looked at Lyra with silver eyes softer than her father's. My mama died. I know, I'm sorry. Everyone says it's not my fault, but it feels like my fault. It's not. Sometimes terrible things happen. We can't control them. We can only decide how we survive. Long silence. Then Serafina stood, walked over, sat beside Lyra. Not touching, just close. Will you read to me? Lyra grabbed Winnie the Pooh from the shelf, started reading. Serafina leaned against her shoulder. For the first time in 50 years, the child relaxed. Dominic was waiting in the hallway. Serafina had fallen asleep. Lyra had tucked her in. How did you do that? His voice was rough, emotion. I didn't do anything. I just sat with her. 200 therapists, 50 years, and you did in 1 hour what none of them could. Maybe she didn't need a therapist. Maybe she needed someone who didn't expect her to be anything but scared. Dominic stared, seeing her for the first time. Who are you, Lyra Blackwood? I'm nobody, just a waitress. Remember? No, you're not. He moved closer. She could feel the cold radiating off him. Thank you for being kind to her. You don't have to thank me for basic human decency. In my world, it's rare. They stood in the hallway, city glittering beyond. She's been alone so long, Dominic said quietly, trapped in fear. I didn't know how to reach her. You love her. More than anything. Then maybe the problem isn't her. Maybe it's the world you've built. Cold, isolated, safe but empty. Dominic's jaw tightened. I've kept her alive. Alive isn't the same as living. The words hung. Finally, Dominic nodded. You're right, but I don't know how to change it. Maybe you don't have to do it alone. He looked at her, silver eyes searching. If you pass the trial, if you choose to stay, would you help me with Serafina? First time vulnerable. First time asking instead of demanding. Lyra thought about the little girl. 50 years of loneliness. A father who loved but didn't know how to save. Yes. Simple. Honest. Dominic let out a breath. Thank you. He turned, stopped. Lyra. Yes. You're not nobody. Whatever happens, remember that. He left her with her heart beating too fast and mind spinning with possibilities she hadn't imagined. Maybe this didn't have to be just a transaction. Maybe it could be something more. Days 3 through 5 blurred together. Lyra spent mornings with Dominic. Coffee, conversation, learning about his world. Afternoons with Serafina, reading, playing, the child slowly emerging from fear. Evenings walking the rooftop garden. Night blooming jasmine, moonflowers, beauty and darkness. On day 4, Serafina had a problem. The blood smells bad, she whispered when Lyra found her pale and shaking. Bad how? Like hospitals, like medicine, like dying. Her mother, the scent triggered memories. What if we made it different? Lyra asked. How about tea party, fancy cups, pretend it's cherry juice. 20 minutes later, they sat at a child-sized table, plastic cups with flowers. Musical teapot. Kieran brought blood in a crystal pitcher. Cheers, Lyra said, raising her tea. Serafina raised her blood. They clinked. Serafina drank. Not much, but more than in days. Good to less scary. Everything's less scary with friends. Serafina climbed into Lyra's lap, curled up. You smell like lavender. My mother's garden. The scent's in my clothes. I like it. It's safe. Lyra wrapped her arms around this small, terrified creature. You are safe, I promise. When Dominic found them an hour later, both asleep, he stood watching. His daughter, unreachable for 50 years. And this human who'd walked into his life 5 days ago and changed everything. Kieran appeared beside him. She's good for Serafina. She's good for all of us, Dominic said quietly. You're falling for her. Don't be absurd. You laughed yesterday when she made that joke about your age. Dominic's jaw tightened. I'm aware. If she fails the trial, you lose her. If she passes and leaves, you still lose her, Mom. I've lost everyone I've cared about. What's one more? But his voice cracked. Kieran squeezed his shoulder. Maybe this time is different. Nothing is ever different. But watching Lyra with his daughter Dominic wanted to believe. Night 6 arrived like an execution. The trial of blood. Lyra woke with her stomach in knots. Couldn't eat. Could barely drink water. She'd sit in a room, alone, with fresh human blood in a crystal bowl. 10 minutes. Resist. Pass. 200 women had tried. 200 had failed. Scheduled for midnight. Vampire tradition. Lyra spent the day with Serafina. Reading, playing, not thinking about what was coming. But Serafina knew. Children always knew. Are you scared? Yes. Me too, when I had to drink blood the first time I cried. What helped? My mama, she held my hand, said, you're stronger than you know, little bird. You just have to believe it. Little bird. The endearment made Lyra ache. Your mama was right. Are you strong enough? Lyra looked at this brave child. I have to be. Someone I love needs me to be brave. Serafina hugged her tight. I need you to be brave too. That was the real trial, not the blood, the choice to keep fighting when giving up would be easier. Midnight, the trial chamber was in the basement. Stone walls, single chair, table. On the table, crystal bowl. Inside, fresh human blood. The scent hit immediately. Copper. Salt. Something darker. Something that called to a part of her brain she didn't know existed. Hunger. Not her hunger. Echo of vampire hunger. Memory of what she might become. The vampire council stood behind glass, watching, judging. Dominic, Kieran, Lady Morgana, others. You have 10 minutes, a voice said through a speaker. Starting now. The door closed, locked. Lyra alone with the blood. She sat, forced herself not to look at the bowl, but the scent was everywhere. Filling her nose, lungs, mouth. She could taste it without touching it. 1 minute. Hands gripped armrests. White-knuckled. Don't look. Don't smell. Don't think. Think about something else. Marlena's garden. Lavender. Roses. Sun on her skin. Her mother's laugh. 2 minutes. Hunger growing? Not physical, psychological. The suggestion that one sip would solve everything, make her strong, powerful, worthy. No. She was already worthy. 3 minutes. Sweat down her back, hands shaking. Heartbeat loud, insistent. The blood in the bowl seemed to pulse in rhythm. 4 minutes. Halfway. She made the mistake of looking. Dark, rich, almost black. Beautiful. No, not beautiful. Just blood. Just fluid. The scent intensified. 5 minutes. Vision tunneling. Everything narrowing to that bowl. Take it. Drink it. Just one sip. Who would know? Everyone would know. She would know. 6 minutes. Eyes closed. Breathe through mouth. Think about Serafina. Her smile over tea. The way she'd called Lyra safe. Think about Dominic. Sadness in his silver eyes. Think about Marlena. Sick. Dying. Needing Lyra strong enough to save her. 7 minutes. Hunger was a living thing crawling under her skin, demanding. Just one sip. No. 8 minutes. Nails digging into armrests, cutting through fabric, maybe cutting palms. Pain helped. Grounded her. She focused on that. The sharp sting. Reminder she was still human, still in control. 9 minutes. Almost there. One more minute. 60 seconds. She'd survived 26 years. 60 seconds was nothing. 59. 58. 57. But then the door opened. That wasn't supposed to happen. Lyra's eyes flew open. Serafina stood in the doorway. Serafina, what? I wanted to give you something, for luck. She walked in, holding something, a stuffed rabbit, worn, loved. My mama gave this to me. She said it would keep me safe. Serafina held it out. This child, terrified of everything, had walked into a trial chamber to give Lyra courage. Lyra took the rabbit, hugged it to her chest. Then she stood, walked to the table, picked up the bowl. The council gasped. Dominic moved toward the glass. But Lyra didn't drink. She turned her back on the bowl, on the blood, on the hunger. Walked to Serafina, knelt down. Thank you. This is the bravest thing anyone's ever done for me. She set the bowl on the floor, out of sight, out of mind, and hugged the child. The buzzer sounded. 10 minutes. The glass opened. The council filed in. Dominic reached them first. You passed. Against every odd, you passed. Lyra looked up at him, still holding Serafina. I didn't do it for the trial, I did it for her. And that convinced Dominic she was different, worthy, his. Night 7 dawned with sunlight Lyra couldn't enjoy. She'd stayed up all night, sitting on the terrace, watching the city wake. The trial was over. She'd passed. Now the choice. Take the money and go, or stay. Be turned. Live in darkness forever. Dominic found her as the sun rose. He stayed in shadows. Light would burn. You're thinking too loud. I have a lot to think about. Have you decided? Not yet. Quiet moment. Then, if you go, I'll understand. I'll pay for your mother's treatments anyway. You've earned that. Lyra turned, silver eyes in shadow. Why? Because you gave me something I didn't know I needed. You showed me Serafina could be happy, that I wasn't failing her. That's worth more than money. I didn't do anything special. You existed in a way that made us believe things could be different. That's the most special thing. Lyra stood, walked to the shadow's edge, as close as she could without pulling him into painful light. What if I want to stay? His breath caught, the sound real despite not needing to breathe. Then I would turn you, tonight, and you would be mine, forever. Forever is a long time. Yes. Do you want me or what I represent? The question hung. Finally, Dominic stepped closer, still shadow, but close enough to see clearly. I want you, Lyra Blackwood, the woman who looks at me like I'm a person, not a monster. I want you in ways I haven't wanted anything in centuries. That sounds like love. It sounds like the beginning of love, which is terrifying. Lyra smiled, reached out, took his cold hand in her warm one. Then let's be terrified together. She pulled him toward her. He resisted. The sun will hurt you, I know. So we stay here in the shadow between. She kissed him. His lips were cold, his temperature wrong, but the kiss was right. He pulled her closer. Careful, controlled, always controlled, until he wasn't. The kiss deepened, desperate. 3 centuries of loneliness pouring into one moment. Lyra felt it, the need. The hunger that had nothing to do with blood and everything to do with connection. When they broke apart, Dominic was shaking. I'll ask you properly, tonight, with witnesses. The vampire way. But I need to know now, will you stay? Lyra thought about everything she'd give up: sunlight, mortality, growing old, then what she'd gain: strength, time, the ability to protect those she loved. Yes, I'll stay. Dominic's eyes closed, relief washing over him. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. You're stuck with me forever now. I can think of worse fates. They stood there, in shadow, between day and night, between what was and what would be. Neither heard the elevator, neither noticed the door, not until a voice spoke, cold, ancient, amused. How touching! The king has found love. How convenient for my plans. Dominic spun, pushed Lyra behind him. In the penthouse, surrounded by 10 vampires in dark suits, stood a man, tall, elegant, silver hair, eyes like blood. Cassius Nightshade, Dominic's creator, his sire, the vampire who'd turned him 3 centuries ago and made his life hell. Hello, Dominic. Did you miss me? The penthouse became a battlefield in seconds. Dominic's vampires materialized. Security, guards, Kieran leading. But Cassius had brought an army. Brutal. Fast. Vampires moving too quickly for human eyes. Lyra was shoved behind a pillar, told to hide. She didn't listen. Through the chaos, she saw Isolde Thornfield, her stepmother, walking in behind Cassius like she belonged. Isolde, Lyra's voice was a whisper. Her stepmother smiled. That smile. Hello, Lyra. Surprised. You did this. You brought him here. I made a deal. Cassius wanted access. I wanted you gone. Win-win. Rage, hot, bright. You sold me, then betrayed me. Is there anything you won't do? Survive. I'll do anything to survive. Isolde pulled out a phone, pressed a button. An image appeared. Marlena, in her hospital bed, surrounded by vampires. Your mother is in my custody. Cassius's people picked her up an hour ago. If you don't cooperate, she dies. Lyra's world tilted. What do you want? Cassius wants Dominic to submit, to kneel, acknowledge him as superior. You're the leverage. Across the room, Dominic fought 3 vampires. Winning, barely. Cassius watched with amusement. Dominic, the ancient vampire called. Stop fighting, or I'll kill your human. Dominic froze. Cassius smiled. Better. Now, let's discuss terms. When I turned you, I created a blood bond, connection between sire and child. I've been patient letting you think you were free, but the bond is still there, still mine. The bond was broken centuries ago. Was it let's test, Dominic Ashford? By the blood that made you, I command you, kill the human. Dominic's body went rigid, eyes widening, horror, panic. No, I won't. You will, the bond compels you. Lyra watched Dominic's body move against his will, jerky, resisting, but moving toward her. Dominic, fight it. I'm trying. Anguish. Lyra, run. Please run. She didn't run. Kieran did, straight at Dominic, trying to stop him. One of Cassius's vampires was faster. Silver blade straight through Kieran's chest, not through the heart, but close. Kieran fell, blood pooling, dark, too much. Kieran, Dominic's scream was inhuman. The blood bond cracked. Just a second, but enough. Dominic broke free, turned on Cassius. You want war? I'll give you war. The fight was terrible, beautiful. 2 ancient vampires with centuries of power and rage. But Cassius was older, stronger, and he still had the bond. Submit, or I'll kill everyone you love, starting with the child. Serafina. Lyra's head snapped toward the child's room. The door was open. One of Cassius's vampires was dragging Serafina out, the little girl screaming. Something broke inside Lyra, not fear, fury. She ran, not away, toward. Grabbed fallen wood, broken table, pointed, makeshift stake. The vampire holding Serafina didn't see her coming. Humans were beneath notice. Lyra drove the stake through his back. He screamed, released Serafina. Lyra grabbed the child, shielded her. I've got you. You're safe. Cassius laughed. Heroic. The human protecting the hybrid. But you're mortal, girl. Fragile. Watch. He moved, fast, faster than Lyra could track. His hand closed around her throat, lifted her off the ground. Serafina screamed. Dominic roared. But Cassius was already moving, already pulling Lyra toward the window. 30 stories up. Let's see if love can fly. He threw her, through glass, into open air. Lyra fell, city spinning, ground rushing. This is it. This is how I die. Then something caught her. Not caught, collided, Dominic, diving through the window after her. They hit the ground together, a rooftop 3 stories down. Not the street, but close enough. The impact shattered Lyra's shoulder. Ribs, something in her spine. Pain exploded, white hot. Dominic rolled, cradled her, screaming her name. Lyra, Lyra, stay with me. Blood, so much blood, her blood. The scent filled the air, and above them Cassius laughed. The bond breaks with her death, Dominic, or with her turning. Your choice. Let her die free, or turn her and bind her to our world forever. Dominic's face was above her, tears, blood tears, streaming down. I can't do this to you. Lyra's hand found his face, shaking, cold. Turn me, please. Don't let me die. You'll lose the sun, your humanity, everything. I'll lose you, that's worse. Her vision was fading, pain receding. Not good. That meant dying. Please, I choose this. I choose you. Dominic's fangs extended. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. He bit. Pain was instant, overwhelming, like fire and ice and electricity all at once. Lyra screamed, Dominic's venom entering her bloodstream, rewriting her DNA, killing her humanity cell by cell. I've got you. I've got you. The world went black, and Lyra Blackwood died. 3 days. That's how long vampire transformation took. 3 days of death, of the body shutting down and rebuilding. Every cell changing from human to something else. Lyra experienced it in flashes. Pain, darkness, voices, Dominic's voice, constant, never leaving. Come back, please come back. Serafina crying, don't die, please don't die. Kieran, weak but alive, stubborn, too stubborn to die. And underneath it all, the pull of blood, the hunger, the transformation. On the 3rd day, Lyra woke. The room was dark, but she could see everything, every detail, every texture, every particle of dust in the air. Her hearing was sharp. She could hear Dominic's heartbeat in the next room. Slow, steady, ancient rhythm. She sat up. No pain, shoulder healed, ribs whole, spine perfect. She looked at her hands, pale, colder, but still hers. The door opened. Dominic stood there, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Blood on his clothes, circles under his eyes. Lyra, she smiled. Hi. He crossed the room in a blur, pulled her into his arms, held her like she might disappear. You came back. I promised. You were dead for 3 days. I thought, I'm harder to kill than that. He pulled back, looked at her eyes, still brown, but now rimmed with silver. You're beautiful. I'm a vampire. Same thing. Lyra laughed. It sounded different, clearer, stronger. How do you feel? Hungry, very hungry. I have blood bags, fresh. We can start slow. Where's Serafina? Sleeping, finally. She refused to leave your room for 2 days. Kieran had to carry her out. Kieran's alive. Barely. The stake missed his heart by inches. He's recovering. And Cassius? Dominic's expression darkened. Gone. He fled when I turned you. The blood bond broke the moment your heart stopped. He has no power over me anymore. But he'll come back. Yes, but not tonight. The hunger was everything. Lyra's first hours as a vampire should have been beautiful, romantic. Instead, she spent them locked in a room with her hands tied while her new body screamed for blood. It's normal, Dominic said through the door, voice calm, patient. Every new vampire goes through this. The hunger, the rage. Lyra's fangs were fully extended, had been for hours. Her gums ached, throat burned. How long? Her voice came out as a growl. Until you can control it. Could be hours, could be days. I hate you right now. I know, you'll forgive me later. The restraints were silk, expensive but reinforced. She'd already tried to break them. Her new strength was terrifying. She'd shattered the chair, cracked the marble floor. All because she could smell blood somewhere in the building. Human blood, fresh, calling like a siren song. Kieran appeared in the doorway, still pale, still recovering from the silver wound. Let me try, he said to Dominic. She'll hurt you. She won't. He entered, sat across from Lyra, just out of reach. Look at me. Lyra's eyes snapped to his, red now, not brown, not silver-rimmed, pure crimson, the mark of bloodlust. I know you're hungry. I know it feels like dying all over again, but you're not. You're stronger than this. I want to kill something. No, you want to feed. There's a difference. Killing is loss of control. Feeding is survival. You're in control, Lyra. You've always been. I threw champagne at a vampire lady. That's not control. That was strategy. You knew exactly what you were doing. Same as now. You're choosing to stay in this room instead of breaking down that door. Was she choosing or just too weak? Kieran pulled something from his pocket. A blood bag. Medical. Sealed. The scent hit her like a fist. Lyra lunged. The restraints held. Barely. Easy. Easy. I'm going to give this to you, but you have to breathe first. You have to think. I can't think. I can only Yes, you can. Remember the trial, the blood in the bowl. You resisted then. Resist now. The trial felt like a lifetime ago. A different person. A human person. That was different. No, exactly the same. You're still you. Vampire doesn't change who you are. It just makes everything louder. Kieran stood, moved closer. Every instinct screamed attack. Feed. Take what she needed. She didn't move. Good. Now, I'm going to cut the restraints. You're going to take this blood bag. You're going to drink it slowly, not tear it apart, slowly. He cut the silk. Lyra's hands were free. She could kill him. Right now, so easily. Instead, she took the blood bag, opened it with shaking hands. The first taste was heaven. Rich, warm, perfect. She wanted to drain it in seconds. Wanted 10 more. Wanted to hunt. To chase, to slowly, Kieran reminded her. Lyra forced herself to sip. Small amounts. Controlled. The hunger receded. Not gone. Never gone. But manageable. When the bag was empty, her eyes faded from red to brown to silver-rimmed. Better, better. Good. Because the Vampire Council is here. They want to see you. Now. The council chamber was underneath the penthouse. Deeper than the trial room. A cathedral carved from stone that existed before Manhattan was built. 12 vampires sat in a semicircle, ancient, powerful. Medieval robes. Lyra stood in the center. Dominic beside her. Kieran behind. The head counselor was a woman. White hair, black eyes. Face that might have been beautiful once, but was now just cold. Lyra Blackwood, you stand accused. Accused, not welcomed. Accused. Of what? Lyra's voice was steady, stronger than she felt. Illegal turning. Dominic Ashford turned you without council approval, without completing proper trials, without ensuring you were worthy. Worthy, that word again. I passed the trial of blood. You passed a trial, not the trial. There are protocols, rules. You violated them. I was dying. Dominic saved my life. Dominic acted out of emotion, not logic. Emotion makes weak vampires. Weak vampires endanger us all. The counselor stood, moved down the steps. The penalty for illegal turning is execution. Of both parties, you and Dominic. The room went silent. Dominic's hand found Lyra's, squeezed. However, we are not unreasonable. If you can prove you were turned with just cause, we may be lenient. What constitutes just cause? Kieran asked. Vampire bloodline. If Lyra carries vampire ancestry, the turning was not illegal. It was simply awakening what already existed. Lyra's heart sank. She had no vampire bloodline. She was human. Completely human. The chamber doors opened. Every head turned. 2 figures entered. One was Marlena, Lyra's mother, alive, walking, healthy. The other was a woman Lyra had never seen. Elderly, elegant, silver hair, eyes that glowed faintly in the darkness. I am Helena Blackwood, the woman said. Her voice carried, authoritative. Lyra's great-grandmother, and I am here to provide testimony. Lyra's mind reeled. Great-grandmother, Marlena's grandmother, but that would make her over 150 years old. Dampier, half vampire, half human, born in 1870 to a vampire father and human mother. She walked to the center, stood beside Lyra. My granddaughter Marlena carries 25% vampire blood. My great-granddaughter Lyra carries 12%. Enough to make her compatible for turning. Enough to make this legal under ancient law. The counselor's eyes narrowed. You've been in hiding for decades. Why reveal yourself now? Because my family is being threatened. Because the law is being twisted to serve politics, not justice. Helena turned to Lyra, smiled. It was warm, genuine. I've been watching you, child, since you were born, making sure you were safe. When I heard about the trial, I contacted Marlena. We've been planning this testimony for weeks. Marlena stepped forward, took Lyra's other hand. I'm sorry I didn't tell you about our bloodline, about Helena. I was trying to protect you. Isolde knew. She found Helena's letters years ago. That's why she had the doctor lie. She wanted to control you, use your infertility as leverage. Isolde. The name made Lyra's blood boil. As if summoned, the chamber doors opened again. Isolde Thornfield entered, flanked by guards, and behind her Cassius Nightshade. "This is adorable," Cassius said. "A family reunion. How touching." Dominic moved in front of Lyra, protective. "You have no authority here, Cassius. You were exiled." Exile is such a flexible term, especially when the council needs a witness. The head counselor's expression was unreadable. "Mr. Nightshade has provided testimony regarding the turning. He claims you acted under duress, that you were manipulated by the human." "The vampire," Lyra corrected. "I'm vampire now. Get it right." Cassius laughed. "Such fire, wasted on Dominic. You should have been mine, little bird." Little Bird, Seraphina's nickname, from her dead mother. How did Cassius know that Dominic's entire body went rigid? "What did you just say?" "Oh, did I touch a nerve, sweet Seraphina? Such a fragile child. It would be a shame if something happened to her." The threat was clear. Dominic lunged. Kieran caught him, barely. "Don't! That's what he wants. Public violence. It'll give the council reason to execute you both." Cassius smiled. "Poisonous. I have evidence that Dominic Ashford is unfit to rule, that he allowed his human pet to manipulate him into an illegal turning, that he endangered our entire society for selfish desires." "Evidence or lies?" Lyra asked. "Mrs. Thornfield, please present your testimony." Isolde stepped forward, composed, elegant, every inch the concerned stepmother. "I raised Lyra from childhood. I know her better than anyone. She's always been manipulative, calculating. She seduced Dominic Ashford for his money, for power. She orchestrated this entire situation." Lyra laughed. "Couldn't help it." The sound echoed through the chamber. "Seduced, I was sold. By you, for $50,000. You literally put a price on my head and shipped me to a vampire you'd never met. I was helping you. You were disposing of me, because I wasn't useful anymore. Because Marlena was sick, and I needed money, and you saw an opportunity. That's your interpretation. That's the truth, and everyone in this room knows it." Isolde's mask slipped. Just for a second, pure hatred flashing through. "You were nothing. A worthless girl with a sick mother and no prospects. I gave you value. I gave you purpose. And this is how you repay me. I don't owe you anything. You owe me everything." The outburst echoed. The council watched, silent, judging. Lyra took a breath, turned to face them directly. "I was human when I signed that contract. I didn't know about vampire law, about trials or councils or protocols. I only knew my mother was dying and I'd do anything to save her." She looked at each counselor in turn. "Dominic turned me because I was thrown out a window. By Cassius Nightshade. I was dying. The choice was, turn me or let me die. He chose to save me. Not because of manipulation, because of love." "Love is not a legal defense," the head counselor said. "Then your laws are broken." Gasps. "You didn't tell the Vampire Council their laws were broken?" Lyra didn't care. "I've been vampire for 3 days. 3 days. In that time, I've learned your rules, your protocols, your ancient laws. And you know what I've found?" She pulled a book from her pocket. Old, leather-bound. Kieran had given it to her that afternoon. Vampire Law, Volume 7, published 1823. Section 42, subsection 19. A sire who attacks the mate of another vampire forfeits all blood bonds and claims to said vampire's line. The attacked vampire is permitted immediate defensive turning without council approval. She held up the book. "Cassius threw me out a window. He attacked Dominic's mate. Under your own laws, the turning was legal. Defensive, necessary." Silence. Then Helena laughed, rich, delighted. "She's got you there. The girl knows her law better than you do." The head counselor's expression was stone. "That law hasn't been invoked in 2 centuries. Because it hasn't been needed, but it exists, and it applies." Lyra set the book down, looked at Cassius. "You attacked me. You created the situation that required my turning. Under vampire law, you're the one who violated protocol, not Dominic." Cassius's smile faded. "Clever girl, but cleverness won't save you. I am your sire's sire. I have blood claim over both of you." "Not anymore." Dominic's voice was cold, final. "The moment you attacked my mate, you severed the bond. The law is clear. The law is what the council decides it is. Then let them decide. All eyes turned to the council. The head counselor stood, conferred with the others in whispers too quiet for even vampire ears. Finally, she spoke. The law is clear. Cassius Nightshade attacked first. Dominic Ashford responded defensively. The turning is legal. Relief flooded through Lyra, but the counselor wasn't finished. However, Cassius Nightshade's attack on a vampire's mate is an act of war. The penalty is exile. I've already been exiled. Not exile to territory, exile to sunlight. The chamber went silent. Sunlight exile. The worst punishment a vampire could receive. Trapped in a realm where the sun never set. Burning, healing, burning again. Forever. Cassius's face went pale. You can't. We are. Guards, take him. Vampire guards materialized. 6 of them. Heavily armed. Cassius fought. For an ancient vampire, he was strong, fast, brutal, but he was outnumbered. And Dominic joined the fight, not to kill, to subdue. The battle was short, vicious. In the end, Cassius was on his knees. Silver chains wrapped around his wrists. He looked at Lyra, hatred burning in his blood-red eyes. This isn't over, little bird. I'll find a way back. And when I do, I'll destroy everything you love. Lyra stepped forward, crouched down, eye level. If you come back, I'll be ready. And next time I won't need Dominic to save me. I'll end you myself. She stood, nodded to the guards. They dragged Cassius away, his screams echoing through the chamber. Then the head counselor turned to Isolde. Mrs. Thornfield, you are guilty of conspiracy, of fraud, of selling a human with vampire blood to settle personal vendettas. The penalty is 25 years imprisonment under human law. We've already contacted the authorities. Isolde's composure shattered. No, you can't do this. I have money, connections. You have nothing. Your assets have been frozen. Your reputation destroyed. You will spend the next 25 years in a cell forgotten by everyone you tried to impress. Guards human this time entered to take her. Isolde looked at Lyra one last time. You were supposed to be nothing. Lyra smiled, sad, tired. I was never nothing. You just couldn't see it. Isolde was led away, screaming, crying, pathetic, and Lyra felt nothing. No satisfaction, no revenge, just emptiness where hatred used to be. The head counselor approached. Lyra Blackwood, you have proven yourself worthy, not just through blood, through intelligence, through courage, through the ability to stand before this council and demand justice. She extended a hand. The council recognizes you as Dominic Ashford's mate, as vampire royalty, as a voice that should be heard. Lyra took the hand, shook it. Thank you. Don't thank me. Prove me right. Change this world the way you promised. The counselor returned to her seat. There is one more matter. Dominic Ashford, you have ruled the Eastern Territories for 200 years, but you have ruled alone, without mate, without heir, without the balance that true leadership requires. Dominic tensed. The council proposes a change. Lyra Blackwood will be crowned Queen of the Eastern Territories, co-ruler, equal in power and authority. She will bring the human perspective we've been lacking, the empathy, the understanding. Dominic looked at Lyra, surprise, pride. What do you say, my king? Dominic knelt, right there, in front of everyone, took Lyra's hand. I say yes, absolutely yes, if she'll have me. Lyra pulled him to his feet. We rule together, or not at all? The council nodded. Then it's decided. The coronation will take place tomorrow night. Prepare yourselves. The coronation was held in the cathedral chamber, but this time it was filled with people, vampires, humans who knew about the supernatural world, witnesses from across the territories. Lyra wore midnight blue, the same color as her trial dress, but this time a gown, elaborate, beautiful, train that stretched 20 feet. Serafina was her flower girl, the child beaming, healthy, happy. Marlena sat in the front row, next to Helena, 3 generations of Blackwood women together for the first time in decades. Kieran stood as Dominic's second, fully healed, smirking at the formality. The head counselor performed the ceremony, ancient words, Latin, older languages that predated Latin, promises, vows, responsibilities. Lyra spoke hers clearly, loudly. I promise to protect both human and vampire, to seek justice without vengeance, to rule with compassion and strength, To be worthy of the crown I'm about to receive. Dominic spoke his. I promise to stand beside her, not above, not below, beside him, as equal, as partner, as the man who will spend eternity proving she made the right choice. The head counselor raised a crown, obsidian and silver, ancient, beautiful. She placed it on Lyra's head. I crown you Queen of the Eastern Territories, protector of the balance, voice of the unheard. May you rule with wisdom. The chamber erupted in applause. Vampires who had doubted her now bowing, acknowledging. Lyra looked out at them, at the faces that had judged her, questioned her, tried to break her, and she smiled. Not a small smile, a queen's smile. I know many of you think I'm too young, too new, too weak to rule. You're right, I am young. I am new to this world, but I'm not weak, and I'm not afraid of you. The applause died, everyone listening. For centuries, vampires have lived in shadow, hidden, afraid of discovery. I propose we stop hiding, not reveal ourselves completely, but stop treating humans as prey, as lesser. Start treating them as potential allies. Murmurs, some approving, some outraged. I propose ethical blood banks, willing donors, fair compensation, medical oversight, no more hunting, no more killing for sport. More murmurs, louder. I propose councils that include human voices, laws that protect both species, a world where my daughter, she gestured to Serafina, doesn't have to hide what she is. The murmurs became conversations. Change is terrifying, I know. I've lived through 3 days of transformation. 3 days ago I was human, dying. Now I'm here, immortal, powerful, queen. She paused, let the words sink in. If I can change that much in 3 days, imagine what we can do in 3 centuries. Imagine the world we can build. Together. Silence. Then one person started clapping. Kieran, then another. Helena, then Marlena, then Serafina, then dozens more, until the entire chamber was applauding, cheering. Not everyone. Some vampires looked furious, scandalized, but enough to matter. Dominic took her hand, raised it. My queen, my mate, my love. Lyra kissed him, right there, in front of everyone. Let them see, let them know. This was her choice, her life, her eternity, and she was just getting started. The celebration lasted until dawn. Music, dancing, blood wine, and human champagne. Lyra danced with Dominic, with Kieran, with Helena, with strangers who wanted to meet the new queen. She was exhausted by the time it ended. Vampire exhaustion, different from human tiredness. Deeper. Dominic carried her to their bedroom now, not his, theirs. He laid her on the bed, started to remove her crown. Leave it. I want to remember what this feels like. What does it feel like? Like I finally matter. Dominic brushed hair from her face. You've always mattered. Not to everyone, but now they have to acknowledge it. That's different. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. I'm proud of you. For what? For standing in front of the council and demanding they listen. For refusing to be small. For becoming exactly who you were always meant to be. Lyra pulled him down beside her. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have. You just didn't have to. They lay in silence, the city waking up beyond the windows. Lyra's first sunrise as a vampire. She couldn't see it, couldn't feel it, but she could imagine it. And somehow that was enough. Dominic, yes, thank you for giving me the choice, for not forcing this, for letting me decide. You deserve the choice. Everyone deserves the choice. Even vampires. Especially vampires. We've been trapped in old ways for too long. Maybe it's time we choose something new. Lyra smiled, closed her eyes. Together. Together. She fell asleep in his arms, dreaming of sunlight she'd never see again and futures she'd never imagined possible. 6 months passed like a dream. Lyra adjusted to vampire life faster than anyone expected. The hunger became manageable. The strength became natural. The speed became second nature. She implemented changes. Slowly, carefully. Ethical blood banks opened across Manhattan. Voluntary, compensated, regulated. Some vampires resisted, called her names, threatened rebellion, but most adapted. Realized that willing donors tasted better than fear. Serafina thrived. With Lyra as her stepmother, she learned to control her powers, to embrace her dual nature, to stop being afraid. The child started calling Lyra Mama regularly now, and every time Lyra's heart swelled, Kieran recovered fully, became Lyra's closest advisor, helped her navigate vampire politics with sarcasm and unexpected wisdom. Marlena moved into the penthouse, her illness completely cured by Helena's vampire blood. She spent her days gardening on the rooftop, creating beauty in the darkness. Helena stayed too, training Lyra in vampire history, teaching her things the council didn't want her to know. And Dominic. Dominic watched his mate become a queen and fell more in love every night. But the biggest change happened 3 months after the coronation. Lyra woke up feeling strange, off, wrong. Dominic noticed immediately. What's wrong? I don't know, I feel different. They went to a vampire doctor, one who specialized in rare conditions. The examination took hours. When the doctor finally emerged, she was smiling. Congratulations, you're pregnant. Silence. That's impossible, Dominic said. Vampires can't. Vampire reproduction is extremely rare, but Dampier bloodlines change the equation. Lyra has enough human DNA to conceive. Barely, but enough. Lyra's hand went to her stomach. Pregnant. She was pregnant. With Dominic's child. How long? About 6 weeks. Vampire pregnancies last 3 months. Fast, intense, but survivable. Dominic was frozen, staring. You're crying, Lyra said. I didn't think I'd ever have another child. Not after Serafina's mother died. I thought that part of my life was over. Surprise, he pulled her into his arms, held her like she was made of glass. Thank you for giving me hope I didn't know I needed. That night they told Serafina, the little girl was ecstatic. A baby, a real baby. A real baby, you're going to be a big sister. Serafina hugged Lyra's stomach. I'll protect them, always, I promise. And Lyra believed her. The rooftop garden bloomed under Marlena's care. Night-blooming jasmine, moonflowers, plants that thrived in darkness. It became Lyra's favorite place. Tonight, 6 months after her turning, she stood there with Dominic, looking out over the city they ruled. Her crown sat on a table behind them. She'd taken it off, too heavy for casual conversation. Her stomach was just starting to show. A small bump, evidence of the impossible. Do you ever regret it? Dominic asked. Regret what? Staying, choosing this life, giving up the sun. Lyra thought about it, really thought. Sometimes I miss it, the warmth, the way light felt on my skin. But then I think about what I'd be missing if I'd left. You, Serafina, this family we've built, the changes we're making. She turned to face him. I'm worth more now than I ever was. Not because of money or power or a crown, because I chose to be. Dominic kissed her, slow, deep, full of promise. You were always priceless. I just recognized it first. Behind them, Serafina emerged from the penthouse, Shadow the cat following. The feline had been transported from Queens months ago, unimpressed by vampire royalty but tolerant of it. Mama, Papa, Grandma Marlena says, dinner's ready. Dinner, family dinner, something Dominic hadn't experienced in centuries. They walked inside together, to the dining room where Marlena and Helena were setting the table. Blood for the vampires, real food for Marlena, both prepared with love. They sat, they ate, they talked about nothing and everything. Kieran joined them halfway through, complaining about some minor territorial dispute that would require Lyra's attention tomorrow. Tomorrow. Always tomorrow. But tonight was for family, for the people she'd chosen and who'd chosen her. As they finished, Serafina asked a question. Mama, will you tell me the story about how you became queen? Lyra smiled. Again, I told you last week. I want to hear it again. Please. How could she refuse? All right. Once upon a time, there was a girl who was told she was worthless. Sold by her stepmother, delivered to a vampire king who needed a queen. Serafina leaned forward, rapt. But the girl wasn't worthless. She was brave, smart, kind. She passed impossible trials, fought ancient enemies, stood before a council and demanded justice. And then what? Serafina asked, even though she knew the answer. And then she became a queen, not because someone gave her power, because she claimed it. She chose it. She earned it. Lyra looked around the table, at the faces of people she loved, and she lived happily ever after. Not alone, not perfect, but surrounded by family, by love, by everything that actually matters. Serafina clapped. Dominic squeezed Lyra's hand under the table. Marlena wiped tears from her eyes. Helena raised her glass. To family, to choices, to queens who refused to be small. They clinked glasses. Later that night, Dominic had something for her. They were in their bedroom, the city glittering beyond the windows. He pulled a paper from his pocket, unfolded it, an adoption certificate for Serafina Ashford, with Lyra's name listed as legal mother. Lyra's breath caught. You're adopting her. We're adopting her, together, making it official. She's ours, both of ours. Tears, blood tears, streaming down Lyra's face. Yes, absolutely yes. Dominic wiped her tears. She needs you, more than she needs me. You're the one who made her feel safe, who taught her it's okay to be different. You're her mother in every way that matters. This just makes it legal. Lyra turned in his arms, kissed him hard. I love you. So much it's stupid. I love you too. Stupidly. Eternally. Forever. Forever is a long time. Not long enough. They returned to bed, to their room, to their life. And as the sun rose over Manhattan, invisible to vampire eyes but felt in other ways, Lyra made a choice. Not to regret what she'd lost, but to celebrate what she'd gained. A family, a purpose, a crown earned through courage, not birth. The story didn't end with happily ever after. It ended with happily ever fighting, fighting for justice, for family, for change, for a world where nobody had to prove their worth because everyone already had it. Lyra Ashford, Queen of the Eastern Territories, closed her eyes and smiled. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new enemies, new battles, but tonight she had everything that mattered. Love, family, purpose, and that was enough, more than enough. That was everything.